The woman smiled, her eyes already welling with tears. She began descending the stairs slowly, and Ada Ora rushed forward, forgetting protocol, her tray falling to the floor with a loud clatter. They met halfway. "Why didn't you tell me?" Ada Ora cried, her voice trembling. "I didn't need to," Mama whispered, holding her hands. "I wanted to be seen not as the mother of someone wealthy but as a woman who still matters. You gave me that gift." Adawara fell to her knees, unable to contain the flood of emotion. "You're not just someone's mother, are you?" "No," another voice said from behind. She turned. Descending the staircase was a tall man in a white caftan with gold embroidery. His posture, his aura, everything about him radiated presence. "I'm Nathaniel Okonkwo," he said simply. The name struck her like lightning. Nathaniel, the reclusive billionaire, the tech genius, the man whose story she had read in a newspaper once while wrapping a kara. He came closer and extended his hand. "You helped my mother when the world passed her by. You treated her with dignity when no one else even looked twice." Ada Ora shook her head, overwhelmed. "I didn't do anything special." "That," he said softly, "is what makes it special." Mama nodded. "He sent people to search for me, but I didn't want to be found by men. I wanted to be found by love. I found it in you." Ada Ora covered her face with her palms, weeping quietly. "I'm nobody, sir. Just a girl from the streets." Nathaniel crouched slightly beside her, "And even from the streets, you reached heaven." They led her into a quiet study with glass walls overlooking the garden. Nathaniel sat across from her, flanked by his legal advisor and Mr. Etam. "My mother wants me to honor you," he began, "but I don't just want to throw money at you." "I don't want money," Adaora said, barely above a whisper. He smiled. "Exactly why I want to do more." He tapped a folder. "I've set up a scholarship in your name, the Adawara Foundation for girls who've lost their parents. And starting today, you and Chaik will live here in your own apartment within the estate. You will be enrolled in school full time. Everything uniforms, books, feeding, allowance handled." Adiora blinked, stunned. He continued, "Also, I want to mentor you. Whatever you want to become, lawyer, entrepreneur, doctor, I will make it happen. But only if you agree." Adaora looked at Mama, then back at Nathaniel. "I want to say yes, but," her voice cracked, "will I still be me after all this?" Mama walked over and placed her hand on Adaora's head. "My dear, you're not changing, you're rising." Adaora lay in a room bigger than her entire former apartment. The bed was soft, the air smelled of lavender. For the first time in years, she was safe. Chaik ran in wearing a new t-shirt and slippers, holding a game console a butler had just handed him. "Sis, they have television in the bathroom." Adaora laughed, truly laughed, for the first time in forever. Outside, the moon cast a soft light across the compound. Somewhere deep in her heart, she whispered again, but this time with tears of gratitude. "Thank you, God, I see you now." 6 months after moving in, Adaora stood on a grand stage inside an event hall in Maitama. Pressmen filled the room. Influencers, philanthropists, and top government officials had gathered. The screen behind her displayed the words, "The Adawara Foundation, Hope for the Orphaned, Strength for the Forgotten." She stood at the podium, wearing a simple but elegant Ankara dress. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "I grew up believing that suffering was my only path, that kindness was a luxury, that dreams were for other people. But then I helped an old woman, and everything changed." She paused. "That woman saw me, and I saw her, not through the lens of status or wealth, but of humanity." Tears rolled down Mama's cheeks in the front row. Nathaniel sat beside her, proud and silent. Adaora continued, "This foundation is for every girl who has lost her way, every child like my brother Chaik, who thought education was for the rich, every soul that just needs someone to believe in them." The applause was thunderous, but Adaora wasn't doing this for praise. She was doing it because she remembered what it was like to be invisible. One sunny Saturday, almost a year after her transformation, Adaora returned quietly to Ailuran. She didn't wear makeup or jewelry. She wore a simple gown and flats. Chaik, now taller and cheerful, walked beside her. They entered the same street they had walked countless times, the street where she first met Mama. Some people recognized her and screamed. Others simply stood in awe. Adawara smiled and waved humbly. Then she entered the same old compound where Mama had stayed. She knocked on the door. A woman answered, shocked. Ah, Adaora? Adaora smiled. Good morning, Annie. I just came to say thank you for not chasing Mama away when she had nowhere to go. The woman covered her mouth in surprise. My daughter, we had no idea she was... I know, Adora said, but kindness isn't about knowing someone's status. It's about doing what's right when no one is watching. That evening, back at the mansion, Mama sat in her favorite chair under the guava tree. Adaora walked over and knelt before her. I've been meaning to ask you something, Mama, she said softly. Yes, my child. When you said Nathaniel forgot where he came from, did you mean that literally? Mama smiled faintly. I ran away, she said after a pause. Not because my son didn't love me, but because I feared what he was becoming. The world gave him power, but I worried it had taken his heart. She looked out into the sunset. So I disappeared. I went where I could be unknown. I needed to remind myself in him what truly matters. Adawara looked down. And did it work? Mama chuckled gently. Look at you. You're a proof it did. It was a calm evening in Abuja. The rain had just stopped, and the mansion's garden smelled of wet earth and blooming hibiscus. Adawara was now 21. Her life had blossomed beyond her wildest dreams, but she had never stopped being that kind-hearted girl who once walked barefoot on Aloran streets. That day, Nathaniel called her into the private study, his voice more serious than usual. She walked in, dressed in a simple Ankara gown. On the polished oak desk lay a velvet-covered box and a sealed envelope with her name handwritten in delicate cursive. Sit, Nathaniel said quietly, emotion barely masked in his voice. She obeyed, confused. He pushed the envelope toward her. It's from Mama, he said. She wrote this before she passed, just a week ago. Adaora's heart dropped. No, she whispered, gripping the letter. She asked us not to tell you until today. She said your heart needed time to mature before you could handle what she had to say. Hands trembling, Adaora opened the envelope. Inside was a single page aged, folded perfectly. The scent of lavender Mama's scent still lingered. She began to read. My daughter Adaora. If you're reading this, it means I have gone to be with my maker. Please don't cry. Instead, thank him for allowing our paths to cross before I left this world. I was lost when I met you. I had wealth, I had a powerful son, but I had no peace. People around me bowed out of duty, not love. I needed to remember what it meant to be truly seen. Then came you, a girl with nothing but kindness in her heart and fire in her spirit. You did not see my rags. You saw my soul. You gave me water and laughter and dignity. You became the daughter I never had. So I have done something. I instructed my lawyers to include you in my estate not as charity, but as inheritance. You are now legally adopted as my daughter. You bear my legacy. Half of all I own belongs to you, not to spoil you, but to equip you. Use it to bless others. Be to them what you were to me, a lifeline. Nathaniel will stand by you. You now have a brother in him. You are family. You always were. And when life gets noisy, remember the mango tree. That's where I found peace. That's where I found you. With eternal love, Mama. Adawara read the letter twice, then a third time. Her hands trembled, and the words blurred through her tears. She adopted me? She whispered. Nathaniel nodded. Yes, it's official. You're now co-heir to her estate. You carry her legacy. Adaora buried her face in her hands. I don't deserve this. You do, Nathaniel said firmly, kneeling beside her. Mama didn't choose people by what they had. She chose them by what they gave. A moment of silence passed between them, heavy with memory. Then Nathaniel reached for the velvet box and opened it. Inside was an ornate gold necklace, old but well kept. Its pendant was shaped like a mango leaf. This was Mama's, he said. She wore it every day before she disappeared. She said if she ever found someone who reminded her of herself, she'd pass it on. He clasped it gently around Adaora's neck. It fit perfectly. You are her, he said softly. You carry her spirit. That week, national headlines read, Billionaire's mother leaves half her estate to Aloran banana seller turned social advocate. Social media exploded. Some criticized, many celebrated, but Adeora did not care for the noise. She moved with quiet grace, just as Mama taught her. She legally changed her name to Adeora Gloria Okeke. Gloria, in honor of Mama whose name, it turned out, was Gloria Anine Okonkwo. Lawyers confirmed her inheritance. Not just cash, but shares in tech companies, estates in Lagos and the UK, and full ownership of a nonprofit endowment fund Mama had quietly built over the years. But Adeora didn't buy cars or mansions. Instead, she traveled back to Ilorin. She built a vocational center for widows and orphans. She funded scholarships for girls who had dropped out of school due to early marriage or poverty. She returned to the very compound where she had first helped Mama and renovated every room. She didn't want to rise alone. One evening, now seated under a mango tree in her new Ilorin Foundation office, Adaora welcomed a group of young girls. She told them a story. Once I helped an old woman who couldn't carry her sack of vegetables. I didn't know she was the mother of a billionaire. I didn't know she would change my life. And I didn't know that through her, I would discover who I really was. The girls clapped, wide-eyed. Adaora looked up at the tree. The wind rustled the leaves. And for a brief moment, she felt Mama sitting beside her again, smiling, proud, whispering, You were never just a girl, Adaora. You were always destined to carry glory.